You can see it's a little bit on the warmer side for most of us. You can see as we're looking towards Jackson, it's 86, 88 in New Orleans, and as we go down to Florida, you can see it's 86 in Tampa and 84 in Miami. So generally a little bit on the warmer side, a little bit seasonably warm for us right now, but not that terribly bad. You can see dew points are a little bit on the muggier side for us here. You can see 65 in Tallahassee, 74 in Miami, and as we're looking towards New Orleans and Shreveport, it is 67 and 56. But you can see behind that front, you can see we have significantly drier air that we are going to be looking at moving into the next few days. You can see these winds are not that bad for most of us. A little bit windier down here towards the coast. You can see 10 miles per hour in Tallahassee, 10 miles per hour in Tampa, 9 down in Key West, and 14 up in Shreveport. So a little bit windier up towards the northwest areas of our southeast region. Upper level water vapor, you can see not that much to talk about. It's a little bit on the drier side for us right now. You can see there actually are a few storms down towards the South Florida area, so there's a little bit of moisture down there, but for most of us, not that much to talk about, pretty dry conditions. And you can see this basically on the satellite and radar right now. At Tallahassee, we have basically nothing going on, basically no clouds, a few high clouds in the area, but not that much. And towards Atlanta, not that much. As we go towards South Carolina, North Carolina, we have a few scattered showers and thunderstorms, but not that much in the way of severe weather. And down towards South Florida, we have those more the populated storms down there, but again, nothing severe, just a few brief downpours for your evening commute. And as we're looking into the next 24 hours, you can see this front sort of moving through the southeast, but it is a dry, cold front. So not that much to talk about in the way of storms for us. Maybe a few clouds as we start to move in. And you can see this sort of happening with this front. In tonight's forecast for the low temperatures, 66 in Montgomery, 63 in Atlanta, 67 in Charleston, 66 in Jacksonville. So a little bit warmer ahead of the front. Behind the front, you can see we have 52 in Tupelo and 59 in Jackson. So again, a little bit cooler conditions behind the front. Nothing too bad to talk about here, though, because it's not that cold yet. We're working our way into winter, where it's not winter quite yet. And as you can see here, tomorrow's forecast is a little bit on the warmer side for us. 88 in Tampa, 89 in Miami, all the way up to 85 in Key West. But again, not that bad. A little bit seasonably warm for us right now, so I'm going to hand it off to Evan now to talk about with the tropics.
Thank you very much, Robert. As we look into the tropics, on a typical year, we would be looking at currently names of storms in the regular alphabet, but sadly, we are looking at the Greek alphabet here. Only the second time in history this has been reached at all. The other record was in 2005 where we reached Zeta, which actually hit in December of 2005. This is only the second time, and we still have yet another hurricane possibly to look out forward to, an area of interest. Delta is gone. The remnants of Delta are right now hitting upon the coastline of North Carolina. But wind-wise and storm surge-wise, Delta is completely out of the picture. Louisiana is in recovery, and my prayers and thoughts are with them. But as we look at Invest 93L, this is our next system as a busy 2020 year. So we are not stopping for anything here on the Invest train. Best I could say it as 35 miles an hour. Not too much circulation. You see a little bit into this picture right here. You see convection. That's the main thing all these storms really need to be able to basically start themselves up. It's like an engine, basically. It is moving quickly at 60 miles an hour going west. Should affect the lesser NT islands as we get into those spaghetti plots. Most of them pointing slowly, still considering that northwest track. If you look a little bit into Florida, we can't really rule out entirely yet where this is going, but we'll get into that, and it'll be way later in the picture. But good news is, this is going to be fighting a lot. We have a lot of wind shear and storms that will basically come into contact with Invest 93L, what could be Tropical Storm Epsilon. And most of these convective storms off the coast of South America could be going to the east and basically fighting with this Invest 93L. So it'll be very interesting to see if that thing survives, makes it out, but regardless, it should be weakened a lot, which is great news. Always what we want to hear for this time of year. But stay always looking into the tropics. Tropic season does not really end until the end of November. It is still October. So stay with us. It's been a busy 2020 year. But for more on Shear, which is actually going to be affecting Epsilon soon, we're going to go over to Robert at the desk, who's going to explain that a little more for us.
Testing, testing. Okay, testing, testing. This is FSU weather. So we are looking at the wind shear right now. We're going to talk about that. And apologies for technical difficulties right here. My mic just sort of died on me. So we're going to start keeping about wind shear, which is what I was going to talk about before the mic rudely interrupted me. But wind shear is basically essentially a change in wind or direction with altitude. We hear us talking about that a lot, but it's actually not that complicated of a topic. And the reason why we're talking about this is because particularly 93L will actually be impacted by this. What wind shear essentially does is a hurricane typically has a warm core, and it sort of shears that warm core away and removes it from the lower level of circulation there. So this lower level of circulation might remain, but these storms are just sort of going, this convection is not going to impact the storm much, and it will not allow it to strengthen it that much at all. So it's bad for hurricanes, but it's actually good for storms. And that's why you hear us talking about that in the severe weather season. So you will need to look about that as we get closer to March and April. But I'm going to pass it off to the wall now for a look at more of our weather.
Thank you for that educational piece, Robert. All right, here's some temperatures around our country right now. Let's start in the southeast in our area right now. It's 85 degrees in Tallahassee. A bit to our south, it's 84 and rainy in Miami. As we make our way up the Atlantic coast, you can see temperatures tend to cool down a bit. We got 54 up in Boston right now. As we make our way into the Midwest, we've got 58 in Chicago, 71 in Kansas City. A bit to the south in San Antonio, 91. And as we make our way to the West Coast, you can see temperatures are pretty moderate right now, sitting at a nice 75 degrees and 81 over in San Francisco. It's a bit warm for this time of year as well. As for our current dew points, you can see in our southeast area, all the way stretching from about West Virginia down to Miami, South Florida, very muggy conditions. Right behind this frontal passage, you can see that conditions dry up significantly. 31 in Kansas City, that's a very low dew point. We've got 17 in Denver. There are some fires in that area due to those very, very low dew points, dry conditions. All right, and here, as I mentioned, that frontal passage is making its way across the country right now. A bit more rain up to the north side of it. Not much moisture that'll push into our area in the coming days. It'll cool down our temperatures just a little bit. And out towards the Midwest, you can see very dry conditions, not much rain at all, not even any cloud cover. And it's pretty much the same story as we make our way out into the west in San Francisco and California. As for our active alerts right now, if you look down to the south in Louisiana, you can see these are some flood warnings from our remnants of Tropical Storm Delta. So you can see they're still having some problems from that area. As we make our way to the west, you can see we've got these fire warnings stretching from Denver up into the Midwest a bit, and to our west you can see some air quality conditions that are having problems over in central California. And looking at the northeast satellite and radar right now, there's a lot of moisture pushing out of New York up into the Boston area. You can see a little bit to our south in Washington, they also have some rain right now. Here's that very, very strong line of thunderstorms moving across. It looks like it just moved through Chicago and it's making its way up into southern Canada as we speak. And a little bit to the west, you can see dry conditions for Wichita and Omaha. And for tonight's forecast, in the southeast, warm conditions, 61 in Tallahassee, 64 in New Orleans. Here's that line that marks that low pressure system moving across. We've got 50 in Memphis. And as we make our way a little to the north and to the west, we've got 47 in North Dakota and 49 in Seattle. And for tomorrow's forecast, very warm conditions, similar story as today in the southeast. And you can see also we've got warm conditions as we make our way towards the west and into California. And now we're going to pass things off to Evan with a local look.
Thank you very much, Josh. So look, that sun definitely getting a lot more closer to one of those beautiful Tallahassee sunsets that we've been posting about and kind of bragging about basically on Facebook. It is now 6:15. We basically expect the sun to last, or not last, but still be up for another about 30 minutes or so. But currently 85 degrees. We're still hot and humid on through right now and still into tonight. We might be reaching down to the 70-degree line, but still, regardless, not much beyond that. Winds are coming out of the northwest at 10 miles an hour. We pointed to earlier, when the wind comes out of the northwest, you're basically getting the conditions that are northwest of Tallahassee. So let's take a look at that. Tallahassee going up north into Alabama, looking at nothing much on our radar, not even much cloud cover at all seen right now in Alabama. That's going to be coming down to Tallahassee. It's going to be keeping us nice and dry which is I know a lot of people definitely appreciate, even though we call ourselves sometimes the rain state, even though we are the sunshine state here in Florida. And all that mostly is thanks to a lot of dry air has moved its way east. This has really been brought across by Hurricane Delta. When Hurricane Delta moved through New Orleans and went a little bit east, kind of dragged up with it a lot of dry air actually way behind it. That's what we're kind of undergoing right now and dealing with. A little bit of water vapor more on the horizon on the west side of New Orleans and around Louisiana, which we might be looking at a little bit later in the week. But the dew points are still very muggy regardless of this dry air. 65 in Tallahassee, 70 in Quincy, and 72 in Apalachicola, where we are hitting down at 84 degrees for our areas. Look at the rest of our area, 81 in Valdosta. Anytime those dew points match up to the temperatures is when you get rain. But since we have those temperatures way higher at around 85 in Tallahassee and 82 in Quincy, it's not really enough to get precipitation, which is great. But it leaves you feeling very hot, very sweaty if you're going on a run right now, anytime. Please make sure to hydrate very much if you're anywhere on Quincy or Bainbridge at 86 and 85 degrees on the heat index. Next 24 hours, see the clouds move out throughout the night tonight. Should be getting a little more clear. And the next round of clouds kind of continues to go on through tomorrow. Maybe even a chance of precipitation still lasting out. Can't rule that out. But it should be mostly sunny skies throughout the day tomorrow, except for a little bit of some patchy fog along the roadways tomorrow. Please do be careful anytime fog is around, especially early in the morning when you might not be awake entirely, especially for that. So 71 degrees up in the morning at 8 a.m. We're going to reach to a high of 88, though, on Tuesday. Very hot and very muggy. So definitely make sure you have sunscreen on if you're planning on doing any outdoor activities. But look at that. We're reaching down to lows in the 50s at 55 on Thursday and 54 on Friday, just before game time on Saturday. But for now, we're going to go over to Lindsay from back home in New York.
Thank you so much, guys, and welcome back to another segment of Current Environmental Issues with Lindsay. I'm student environmentalist and student meteorologist Lindsay Parmet, and today we are talking about something that everybody has purchased into, whether you realize it or not. We're talking about fast fashion. So now you might be wondering, what is fast fashion? Kind of sounds weird. Fast fashion is producing cheap clothing extremely quickly in order to follow a current trend, something that's super popular in the fashion media. So examples of stores that do this are stores like Romwe, Shein, Forever 21, and H&M. Just to list a few, there are obviously more, and I would encourage everybody to do their research on the stores that do, feed into fast fashion. So it takes approximately 2,700 liters of water to make one shirt, which is a crazy amount of water, you guys. Just think about it this way. We spoke about hamburgers last week and how much water it makes to make a hamburger. But for one t-shirt, 2,700 liters, and if everybody, 7 billion people on the earth, are wearing one t-shirt a day, it's a lot of water that could be saved or put towards the use of consumption for people who need drinking water. Now, the EPA says that in the last 20 years, nearly 14 million tons of textiles are thrown into landfills in the United States. 14 million tons. That is an obscene number and weight of clothing thrown away. And it's upsetting because, one, somebody put a lot of hard work into that shirt, pant, jacket, etc. But also the fact that it's being thrown away and not used for greater use is upsetting. And you might be wondering, well, I know that people recycle their clothing. A lot of people have to, right? And that's not necessarily true. A study found that only 1% of people, or 1% of clothing ends up being recycled, and the rest are being thrown away back into that landfill. So right now, we are consuming more than we did 10 years ago, and at first I thought that that wasn't true, but then I was thinking about how easy it is to go online and browse through and find, oh, super cheap shirt, it's super cute, it's following the trend right now. With one click, in a matter of 2 days, that could be at your doorstep. And I thought, you know what? We probably are consuming more than we did 10 years ago because we have more access to these things than we did 10 years ago. And that's not necessarily our fault. But let's go into ways that we can help. if you're environmentally conscious like I am, you know that it is super hard to find clothing that is environmentally friendly, but one way that I suggest finding maybe not environmentally friendly clothing, but giving clothing a second chance at a life is thrifting. Thrifting is a great way to find clothing that's already been produced, so you're not adding to the carbon or water footprint, and you're giving that pair of jeans a new chance to have a second life, and you're doing a great thing for the environment. I also, hand in hand with thrifting, recommend upcycling. Upcycling is taking a piece of clothing that maybe you even thrifted or that you had laying around in the house that you don't wear anymore, and you turn it into something new, which is also a super fun way to be environmentally conscious and environmentally friendly. And lastly, try and find clothing that is made from sustainable resources or recycled resources. So for example, I personally have a lot of clothing that is made from recycled water bottles or from microplastics that were all put together and then created and blended with different products to make a new shirt, or in this case, new jeans shorts. It's super comfortable, super easy to wear, and overall it's a really good way to be environmentally conscious while still being able to afford and wear super cute clothing. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much, guys. I'm throwing it back to everybody in the studio, and I miss you guys tons. Bye! Thank you so much, guys, and welcome back to another segment of
Here right now is your look at our Florida weather conditions. You can see it is a little bit on the warmer side for us right now, going from coast to coast. It is 83 in Jacksonville, 84 in Miami, 85 in Key West. As we were saying earlier, it is a little bit on the seasonably warm side for us right now. But again, we haven't really gotten to winter yet, so not really expecting this sort of 60 highs that we really like down here. Looking at satellite radar, you can see these storms are mostly clustered down near Miami and South Florida. A few brief downpours, but nothing severe to talk about down here. Just the I-95 corridor might be a little bit wet for your evening commute, but nothing too bad for us to talk about here. For most of the rest of the state, pretty clear and dry conditions for most of us. And you can see as we're looking at these storms down here, just a few scattered showers and thunderstorms going through Miami, through the Everglades, and onto the Atlantic. So again, not that much to talk about for most of the state, but Miami, we're looking here, you can see 10% to 50% chance of thunderstorms, getting a little bit more on the cool and wet side as we go through the end of the week. In Tampa, you can see it gets a little bit warmer, but stays pretty dry. You might see a few scattered clouds here and maybe a stray shower, 10% chance of rain as we get into the end of the week. Orlando, you can see it is going to be a little bit on the cooler side, and like Miami, you're going to see a bigger chance for maybe some scattered showers, thunderstorm or two as we get into Thursday. And you can see this radar right now, though, it's pretty dry for most of us on the I-4 corridor, going from Orlando down towards Tampa. Pretty much nothing for us to talk about right now. And as we go north towards Gainesville and Lake City and Jacksonville, might be a stray shower or two for you guys into the evening, but nothing too much for most of you guys. And as we're looking at Jacksonville, you can see it is going to be getting on the cooler side, but still 20% chance of rain for you guys. And as we go to Pensacola, it is going to be on the warmer side, as we get 85, but we do get cooler down to 81 and 83. Not much in the way of your chance of rain, and pretty cloudy. Satellite radar, not much for us right now, just a little bit on the dry side. And tonight's forecast, low temps will be cool, 61 to 75 Miami, and high temps are going to be ranging from the 80s to 89. So now I'll pass it off to Evan.
All right, here's another look at that amazing sunset that we can see in Tallahassee right over Doak Campbell Stadium right now. And currently 85 degrees, partly cloudy with a northwest wind coming at 10 miles per hour. That's cooling down temperatures just a bit. All right, and for the main viewing area right now, you can see not much in the way of moisture or cloud cover. Even towards central Florida, you can see we don't have much to talk about. A little to our north in the Charleston area, you can see we've got some showers moving off the coast right now. Zooming out a bit right now, you can see the New York, Washington, tri-state area right now. We've got a lot of moisture covering them. That'll move offshore as the hour and the evening progresses. A little to the south, you can see those showers moving in through Palm Beach all the way down to Broward and Miami-Dade County. A little bit to our west, you can see this very strong line of thunderstorms making its way up into Canada, into the Toronto region. That's going to bring cool, dry conditions to the Midwest and eventually our area. And a little more to the west and Portland, like the North Dakota and Montana area, you can see we've got some showers moving in currently right now. And for our current temperatures, 85 in Tallahassee, 82 in Quincy. A bit to our north, it gets a little cooler, 79 in Thomasville. And our neighbors to the south in Apalachicola are currently at 84 degrees. And as for our current dew points right now, Tallahassee sitting at a moist 65, Quincy at 70. Very similar conditions up to our north. These conditions will dry out as we move into the week. And for our index, very high, 87 Tallahassee, 86 in Quincy. Into our south right now, 90 down in Apalachicola. October temperatures are pretty warm right now. All right, and for wind speed and direction, we can see in Tallahassee, 10 miles per hour right now, moving from the northwest. Very similar for the rest of the viewing area as well. In the next 24 hours, you can see we've got some cloud cover moving through. Other than that, not much moisture in our way, a little bit in Valdosta over there. And as for our week ahead, Tuesday, tomorrow we've got a high of 88. As we move out through the week, you can see temperatures remain pretty constant with lows in the mid to upper 60s. As we move into our weekend, we've got
Very much, Josh, for that last look at our local. Should be interesting. Dry days ahead. Shouldn't expect much rain for the next week, which is great news for those of you that like doing outdoor activities. Just hopefully you have a water bottle for that hydration, because it will be definitely very hot for the next few days. But I just want to give him a chance to say welcome back. Those of you who are watching us on television on Channel 4 and just been flipping through the channels and have found us. But we welcome you back. It's been about a year, I believe, since we've finally aired on this channel. It's been a long go. We're in a new place, because I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first time we've aired in a new studio as well. We've undergone changes. We've undergone COVID as well, having to wear these masks in the studio. But hopefully you'll be able to hear us clearly. Hopefully you can see that I'm at least smiling still. That's one thing I was at least worried about a little bit with that. But hopefully we are back. We are back in business. We've taken a little bit of some weeks at the beginning of the semester to get everything settled down, COVID, and hoping that everything can finally get a little bit situated. We're still dealing with technical difficulties, as I said it earlier, but we are slowly back on track. We're back to our full capacity. Well, not full capacity, I shouldn't say that, but full capacity is in we're streaming live on YouTube, we're broadcasting live on television, and we're making sure that you can follow us on any of our social networking platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. It is all up and back and running for you and for all of the Big Bend region. Hopefully you can stay with us here on FSU Weather, as it's still hurricane season. We're still getting through that, and the cold fronts should hopefully be coming soon, hopefully into next week, which would be good to lower those temperatures if you're into that. But anyways, I'm student meteorologist Evan Thomason, and have a great Monday evening.